Hello and welcome back to the channel. Amber here, and today I'm talking about The Daughters' War by Christopher Buehlman. Like and subscribe to the channel for more reviews and discussions, and if you'd like to take part in more conversations, find me on Discord. So this episode will remain spoiler-free, but the first thing I want to talk about is the premise of the story. In The Daughters' War, we follow around Galva Dom Braga, who is a 20-year-old knight during a war where she fights in an experimental company who have trained giant ravens as battlefield companions. The war has gone on for many years, and at this point in time, it has decimated the adult male population. Now, as a last-ditch effort, families have no choice but to send their daughters into war against a foe who fights with magic, diseases, and uses humans to feed on like cattle. Galva is the daughter of a duke, but an unproven warrior. The book walks us through the start of her military career as she and her sisters-in-arms march to war. It's a vaguely late medieval style setting, and it's full of nations and people of different status and backgrounds. From the accents to the geography to the weapons, the world building from Buehlman is always top-notch and well thought out. Now, The Daughters' War is a prequel to The Blacktongue Thief, and the first big difference is the tone. It's mainly told through Galva's perspective, and because she's a stoic warrior, it definitely lacks some of the lightheartedness present in The Blacktongue Thief. But I found that to be okay. This book is much less of a quest, but rather a harrowing military fantasy. It's serious, gut-wrenching, and intense. My overall favorite aspect of the book is the focus on Galva's relationships. Whether it's her blowing off steam, joking with her comrades, her very loving bond with her birds, or the exploration of the relationship with her lover, I think author Christopher Buehlman did a really incredible job with the character. She's not a strong female character because she's written as a, and I'm doing air quotes here, strong female character. She's just a strong character, period, who happens to be a woman. She's wise, empathetic, and curious, but incredibly fierce. And how could she not be? She worships the goddess of death. And as the story pushes forward, we see the effects of the war change her from an untested young woman to a fearsome veteran. It's not a light, cheerful story, so I think that's something to prepare yourself for. But just because it's somber doesn't mean that there aren't a few fleeting moments of humor and mirth. There's a very specific callback character from The Blacktongue Thief that reappears in this book that had me laughing at moments, but I cried too. This book will tear your heart out as Galva reflects on her younger self and on all the things she learns to let go of. It's a story about forgiveness and accepting your past, which in a way makes it joyous. Some of her words and reflections are going to stick with me for a very long time, and the aspect of growth and forgiveness helps balance the mood. One of my favorite quotes from the story is this: "I think now that I acted pridefully, that I was showing off, but I would forgive another 20-year-old this, and so I forgive myself. This has been a hard skill to learn, the forgiving of self, and it is not always easy to know when it is good and when it is indulgent. But there is not so much time in life that we should spend it on being sorry. It was a glorious hour or so in the time of fear and horror, and I would not trade the memory of it for a feeling that I had behaved more properly. Some things are good in moderation. Moderation, too, is good in moderation." It's a strong message to convey because I think anyone who has done a lot of self-reflecting can look to the past and dwell on it too much out of fear that they need to atone for things. It also highlights Buehlman's skill because a lesser author might be tempted to really linger in this phase of atonement for too long. But Galva doesn't. She's looking back with the maturity of someone who knows who they are. She's experienced her losses and she has moved on, but has never forgotten. Frankly, I didn't expect a book about fighting goblins to be so deep. The cover reads Goblins, Guts, and Glory, which had me expecting something different. And this leads me to another topic, which is how much I enjoy Buehlman's way of crafting a really horrifying fantasy race. The goblins are a 10 in terms of villainous baddies. You can definitely see the horror influence here, even though the book doesn't fit squarely in the horror genre. Some of the other aspects that I really enjoyed were the tactical moments of war. Seeing how effective the ravens are really scratches an itch I have. I love stories that can work in a way to create magically imbued animals, and the corvids are such a satisfying element. I love seeing a good plan come to fruition, and I love a good battle. There's also a very tasteful queer romance, which I won't really go into because I don't want to spoil anyone. There's lots of complicated layers of familial drama, and there's a poetic flair in this book that makes it stand out in comparison to everything else I've read by the author. Overall, lots of good stuff. But this book obviously won't be for everyone. It's more of a character study than anything else, as the main character looks back on events that made her who she is. While I enjoyed The Blacktongue Thief more and found it a little more engaging as a whole, The Daughters' War has a much greater emotional impact and will be burned into my memory in a way The Blacktongue Thief will not. I could see this being enjoyed by anyone looking for something dark and serious. And I think this is a perfect October read. For some reason, I could see the Poppy War TikTok girlies really enjoying this and gravitating towards Galva and her warbirds. It has that same grim atmosphere, in my opinion, but with a much more noble hero. Sure, she's flawed, but she's more mature. If you like a character like Lan Mandragoran from The Wheel of Time, Galva has that same nature of a warrior with the heart of a poet. I do believe the author intends to write another book in the series, and personally, I think The Daughters' War could be read chronologically or in publication order. If I could go back and do it again, I would have chosen to read The Daughters' War first. I think it sets up things in a way where Galva's character can be fully appreciated in The Blacktongue Thief, and it won't spoil anything, but will make her thoughts and motivations more meaningful. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the channel or share it with someone who you might think will enjoy the book. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you back next time.